know that Prophet Muhammad performed hundreds of miracles, the same as Jesus and Moses did? When I started searching this topic, I could not believe how many miracles he's performed. Like, I'm actually in shock right now. Why don't Muslims talk about this more? I will get into that at the end of the video, but for now, this is my top 10 favorite miracles of Prophet Muhammad. Let me know in the comments if yours are the same as mine. Let's go. Number 10. Prophet Muhammad could speak to animals. He spoke to sheep, he spoke to camels, wolves, dogs, even ants. But one of my favorite stories is in the cave. During the migration to Medina, Prophet Muhammad was running away from his enemy, the Quraysh, who wanted to try and kill him and stop the spread of Islam. And he hid inside a cave. This is the incredible part. Listen to this. So a spider spun a web in front of the cave's entrance, and a bird made a nest just outside the front. So when the enemy arrived and saw the cave, they saw the spider web and the nest, and they thought it impossible that Prophet Muhammad could be inside because the spider web looked so old and the nest looked like it'd been there for ages. This flimsy little spider web saved the Prophet's life. This story not only shows Prophet Muhammad's special relationship with animals, but it also shows how God can protect you beyond your wildest imagination, from where you least expect it. Now next, number 9, the miracle of multiplying food. One day, a bag of food was brought to the Prophet, and it was a very small portion of food. But the Prophet prayed over the food and told everyone to eat. And the food just kept replenishing itself. Everyone ate and there was still plenty left over. Aisha says that she swore by God that if they had continued eating, the food would never have finished until the Day of Judgment. What? This is just one instance of the many found in the Hadith where Prophet Muhammad made miracles by multiplying food and feeding everyone, especially during battle and war, where small portions of food and water, he prayed over it and it fed the whole army. This is just incredible. Number 8 is one of my favorites. So this is prophecies about future events. There is so many. For instance, the Battle of Badr, where the Muslims were completely outnumbered in this battle and they won victoriously, fulfilling the prophecy. He predicted the conquest of Mecca. He also predicted the fall of the Persian Empire to the Romans. But what's crazy about this prediction is he predicted this just after the Romans had lost to the Persians, and the Romans were very weak, outnumbered, and it seemed impossible at the time that the Romans could defeat the Persians. Now, what's really interesting about this particular prophecy is that he put a time limit on it of a few years. So if it didn't happen, that's the end of his prophecy. That's a really, really risky move to do. So this is just proof that Prophet Muhammad is inspired by God. Also, just before we move on to the next point, I just wanted to also mention one more prediction prophecy that I absolutely love. So Prophet Muhammad, during his lifetime, predicted something that happens hundreds of years later. Like, this is just incredible. So he predicted the fall of Constantinople to the Muslims, aka modern Turkey. And I'm currently here right now, so it's really interesting to see the history of this country. Now, at the time, this prediction would have sounded completely impossible. Think about it. Prophet Muhammad was basically in the desert, in the middle of like sand and mountains and rocks in a tiny little village. And he's saying that Islam is going to take over the biggest empire in the world. An empire that has unlimited military, massive walls, protection, very, very rich empire. So it's just crazy to think that that would happen. I actually got to witness some of the ruins of this war, and they were massive. These walls that the Ottoman Empire broke through are massive, and there's 3 layers of walls that they got through to get in. It's just honestly incredible how they did this. Now, number 7 is the end of time prophecies. Oh, I love these ones so much. So Prophet Muhammad predicted at the end of times that everyone will be obsessed with luxury, vanity, and competing, building tall buildings. How could someone in the middle of the desert 1400 years ago even comprehend the idea of skyscrapers and modern day cities? This is just insane. He also said that men will act and dress like women, and women will act and dress like men. The The hour will not come until adultery and fornication will be widespread and practiced openly. This is exactly what's happening right now. People will appear naked while still wearing clothes, and everyone will be unashamed of their nakedness. This is just so scary. Like, look at Kanye West the other week with his wife at the red carpet. She's literally naked but wearing this tiny little piece of material. Like, how can a man 1400 years ago predict something this crazy? Like, it's just unimaginable to think that people will be openly dressed naked in public. At the time of the prophet, women weren't even allowed out of the house without being fully covered. And if anything, if you didn't wear a headscarf back in these days, it was shameful. You were considered a slave if you weren't wearing a head covering. So to even think of taking the head covering off was crazy, let alone being naked in public. Another thing he predicted is acts of sodomy, which is same-sex relationships, will be just openly done and will not be seen as a sin. This is happening right now. Like, you can legally get married to the same sex. Is this the end of times, guys? There is one more that is my absolute favorite end of times prediction. Listen to this. When you see Mecca, it's mountains with holes. Its buildings will reach the mountaintops, and the hour will cast its shadow over Mecca. So the first part, the mountains with holes. They've literally pierced holes through the mountain for cars to go through. How could someone 1400 years ago even understand this, let alone know what a car is? Buildings will reach the mountaintop. The kind of modern day cities and skyscrapers we have today were just unimaginable back then. And some of the tallest buildings in the world are in Mecca right now. This kind of building in the desert? Like, are you serious? How could he know this? Now, the last part of this hadith is where it gets crazy. The hour will cast its shadow over Mecca. What would you even think this means? But look at Mecca right now. What is the tallest building there? What's at the top of this building? A clock. The time, the hour, will cast its shadow when the tall building is casting its shadow over Mecca. I'm just speechless. Are we close to the end of times? I honestly feel like it. Number 6, splitting of the moon. So it is narrated that non-believers approached the prophet and asked him to perform a miracle to prove his prophethood. So he split the moon. This particular miracle was for his enemies. They may not have believed him. They may have denied his prophethood and said that his sorcery and his magic had reached the moon. But they never said it didn't happen. Plus, if you actually look at modern day photos of the moon, there's a crack. It's actually incredible. There is a full-on crack on the moon. It's just crazy. Number 5, the miracle of water flowing from Prophet Muhammad's fingers. So many people had witnessed and documented this. On several occasions when there was very little water, Prophet Muhammad would place his hands into a bowl and he would pray over them, and miraculously water would start to come out of his fingertips. So this happened on several occasions, especially when there was very little water. There was hundreds upon hundreds of eyewitnesses and documentation of these events. And this is documentation from some of the most trustworthy people of the time. And this water wasn't enough for everybody. This is just such a beautiful, beautiful miracle. Number 4, Prophet Muhammad could talk to trees, plants, and even stones. Again, there is so many hadiths about this. There was a stone that every day Prophet Muhammad would pass by and say salam alaikum to. Even the Sahaba heard the stone talking to him. There was trees. So when Prophet Muhammad did sermons, he would lean on some of the trees and they would be upset if he didn't lean on them. But my absolute favorite happens on a mountain. So one day Prophet Muhammad is with 3 other people on a mountain and the mountain started to shake. And then Prophet Muhammad said, "Be firm, O Uhud," the name of the mountain, "for upon you is a prophet, a truthful one, and 2 martyrs." Martyrs are people who died in battle for Islam. After he says this, the mountain immediately stops shaking. That's just incredible. But on top of this, what he said about the people is another prophecy, because it's true. 2 of those people that were on the mountain with him became martyrs. So not only did he communicate with the mountain, but he also predicted that 2 people would die martyrs. This is just incredible. Number 3, the miracle of bringing rain in the drought. Now this one is one of my absolute favorites. There was a massive drought and rain hadn't fallen for ages. And the